everybody, happy Sunday. I hope that wherever you are and whatever you're doing, you're having a really good Sunday. This is actually Saturday evening when I'm recording this. I normally record my Sunday thoughts of the day actually on a Friday when I finished doing 10, but actually I think I was working up until like midnight, nearly 1 o'clock in the morning, editing 10 the other day. Someone's shooting in the distance. So I thought I'd do it today, and it's been raining all day, but it's now lovely and beautiful, and my garden is looking great. I've got potatoes and sprouts, lots and lots of lettuce. I've got some parsnips behind me, and then in other places I've got tomatoes in front of me and garlic and carrots. Everything's growing up. I love spring. Spring is so awesome. And if you do like watching the gardening side of my life, then do check out the gardening channel. I'm not an expert gardener. This is really the first or second time that I've really done a huge amount of gardening, but my mum did a lot of gardening. So I've learnt a lot from her, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I will benefit from her years of knowledge. But that's not what I want to talk to you about today. I want to talk to you today about the announcement or the confirmation last week that Tesla is going to start offering full self-driving as a subscription service, or maybe even as a pay-as-you-go service. Now, Electrek did a kind of clickbaity title midweek saying, oh, you're not going to believe how much it's going to cost you. The reality is that we don't know yet how much full self-driving is going to cost. And there was some discussion as to whether it was going to be effectively split over many months, like a lease payment. So you could eventually upgrade to the feature when you finished however many months of payment. But there's also been people talking about whether it would maybe just be a feature that you buy when you need it on a long distance trip. And I've been thinking, how much would I want to pay for full self-driving? On my day-to-day driving from here in the country down to where the Transport Evolved studio officially still is, although we're getting rid of that studio in a couple of months, I don't really have that much need for full self-driving, because on these country lanes, full self-driving is a little bit sketchy. And then when you get on the freeway, I'm only on the freeway for maybe 10 minutes, and it doesn't feel like I would need that all the time. Now, going long distance, like when we were driving across the country to Fully Charged Live, or maybe when we were driving across the country to go to CES earlier this year, in that instance, then yes, full self-driving would be really nice. But the issue with full self-driving right now is that you do have to still remain awake. You do have to remain ready to take over at any point. And so I'm not sure if I would personally even buy it at that point, unless it was more for a case of keeping me safe. Now, my experiences with autopilot over the years have always left me coming away thinking that the system is so good, it's in the uncanny valley point at which I might kind of forget to drive the car and then something happens. And I think a lot of people feel the same way. Other people think it's an amazing tool and they want to use it. The data proves categorically that autopilot is a really safe feature. Having it activated in your car helps prevent accidents. At least that's what the data seems to suggest. And so, the semi-autonomous driver assistance features offered by suites like Autopilot are great for the future. But Tesla's been ramping up the price again and again and again. And it's at the point now where a lot of people are saying, well, I've paid for full self-driving, but I don't have it yet. And being upset with Tesla because they paid for the feature when they bought the car and they still haven't been given that feature. So I want to know if it really was completely full self-driving, not where it is now, as in you can go to sleep and let the car drive for you, which, let's not forget, is going to be a legislative nightmare to get every single state, every single country signed on to that. I think there's going to be some real challenges. It would be good to see how much you'd be willing to pay for it. Is this something that you'd want to pay for on a monthly basis? Is it something that you'd be willing to pay on a per mile or a per day basis? And if so, how much would you be willing to pay? Now, I've been giving some thought to this, and I think, honestly, I would want to pay the equivalent to the insurance that I've saved by having autopilot activated. So cars with autopilot engaged, especially if it's full self-driving, should be safer than you driving it yourself. So if your insurance company is going to give you a discount for having autopilot and using autopilot and full self-driving, then the amount you pay for that feature I think would quite conceivably, it would be okay to pay the equivalent savings that you're going to get from your insurance. So that would become a no-brainer. So for example, if I was paying $100 a month for my insurance, and my insurance company said, hey, if you have full self-driving, we're going to knock that down to $20. And so then you've got that $80 difference. Then I turn around and go, okay, maybe I'd be happy paying Tesla $80 a month just to have full self-driving. But if it was twice that, for example, $160, and I was only going to be getting a little bit of benefit by having autopilot from a monetary perspective, then I probably wouldn't bother. In other words, if the cost of autopilot was equivalent to the savings I'd make plus some extra fee, and that extra bit turned out to be too much, then I'd probably say no. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know what you think of your garden. If you are gardening this year, tell me what you're growing, where you live and what you're growing. I am blown away by how well the garlic's growing this year and how well the tomatoes are growing. I've got my cucumbers over there. I've got some corn behind the camera, raspberries, runner beans, strawberries already growing. I've got strawberries growing on my strawberry plants, which is fantastic. So anyway, I'll be back tomorrow with more great content for you all to enjoy. In the meantime, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Support us through Patreon or Ko-fi if you feel able. And as always, keep evolving.